Okay, let's have fun, and remember, it's just a game. Shut the hell up and just die! Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today I'm going to take a look at the McFarlane Toys Fortnite Drift, Rex, and Omega. Now I actually found Drift and Omega at a Walmart in southern Arkansas. I haven't seen them anywhere in my area. I was heading down to a show and boom, there they were just in the toy aisle. And then as far as Omega goes, McFarlane Toys was nice enough to send me along a review sample before they actually hit stores. Now, if you're here as a fan of Fortnite and not action figures, I'm going to say right off the bat, I have no clue what the game's about. My son plays it, I've walked through a couple times, I've seen what goes on, and then I've passed on by. But I dig on good action figures, and after taking a chance with Cuddle Team Leader, I was hooked on this line. McFarlane has been kicking ass with these figures. Looking at the packaging, I dig how they make each one color coordinated to the figure. Well, I don't know how orange works with Drift, but then you have the other two, dark motif for Omega and then the green for Rex. It's easy to see. You can walk in the toy aisle, look down, and see what figures are sitting under the shelf or wherever they're stocked. On the side, we get pictures of each character. On the back, it shows the other figures. Drift and Rex come as a set, but on Omega, since he comes later than this set, he comes with Carbide, and then this is Dark Bomber and Jonesy. On the other side, bigger pictures of the character art from the game. Top, random color, Fortnite logo, character again. On the bottom, all your legalese. Let's see what's going on here. Getting them out of the package, they're all in their blister tray, and the stand is in its own bubble on the back of the package. Open, damn it! Open! It's just your basic foot peg stand, has Fortnite actually sculpted into it. And then getting them out of the package, I definitely have a feeling, having no knowledge of the game itself, that one of these guys is more serious about the game than the other two. Or in it for the fun, in it for the gaming, in it for some serious beatdown. Looking at Rex first, this may seem a little bit familiar. It uses the same body as the Skull Trooper, which is not a big deal. In the game, apparently it's just swappable skins, a lot of reused parts. One thing I do notice though, same sculpt, but on Rex, it seems a little bit softer. Right here on Skull Trooper, you can see kind of the mesh of the strap. That's not present over here. Okay, never mind, I may be a liar. It looks the same, it has the strap coming across here, but there's actual wrinkles or some kind of detail here on Skull Trooper. Over here, it's not there. And then the biggest thing, this one has dog tags hanging, this one doesn't. So it may be a new upper torso piece, but the rest of it, you have the same patch, you have the same knee pads, same straps coming around the knee pads, same boot. So yeah, that's a weird little change, a nifty change, because that's really keeping your eye on the details. But the sculpt pops a lot more with this green and orange color scheme. It's brighter, it draws your eye, and shadows hit a lot better. On the Skull Trooper, it's black, it's white, so shadows tend to, disappear inside the figure. I just find this color striking. And then up to the head, I've got a soft spot for dudes that wear full-on animal heads on there. Maybe because Marvel's only superhero from Arkansas wears a razorback on his head. But you can see the face up in there. It's nicely painted with the eyes, and then the head covering, or well, whatever this is, dinosaur, green dragon, whatever. It does a good job of covering it up. But kind of like what we saw with Black Knight, it does tend to get in the way of articulation there. But speaking of bold colors, pink on black with a little yellow here and there, and then the white mask, this is striking. You put this on a shelf and people are going to be right to it. I want to say this thing is 100% new sculpt. I compare it to the figures I have, which is all of them, and I don't see any reuse here. I love the futuristic shoe detail down here. The gloves are sculpted up onto the forearm, and the head just stands out. Now, this is a head with a neck up under there. You can see face behind it, but this mask doesn't come off. And unfortunately, in order to achieve this look of the hoodie, this is an overlay rubber piece. So it does block mid-torso articulation. I'm assuming there's something in there because I can feel a little bit of movement, and all the rest of the articulation from the other figures are present under there, at least where I can see. There's double neck movement, and you can get the movement, but because of the thickness of this hood coming up and attached to the top of the head, when you move it, it snaps back into neutral position. Kinda would have liked to seen a separate hood piece maybe. It would have broke the hoodie itself, but you would have gotten a lot more head movement. And then there is Omega. This is the dark guy of the group I am reviewing, and he just throws off that badass vibe. This is the guy you walk into a bar and you do not want to mess with him at all. And I do believe this is 100% new sculpt too. I think he shares parts with Carbide, but I don't have Carbide to compare. He's coming in the set with Omega. But look at the texture on the torso right there. The rest of the body is this semi-gloss black, and it doesn't reflect the light like you would think with black, but this being textured here with some silver with the orange coming around it, it's a nice offset to the rest of the body. Not to mention the armor details, the sculpting and the paint just pop off that black. Boot transitioning into the knee pad here, and you can see there's actually 2 sheens of black, and again that adds a little bit of contrast. It's not like this up here, but just a little bit. And then up at the head, look at this mean son bitch. He is just in here to kick ass, take names, chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum. Now looking at Rex, which reuses most of a body that we got with the first series, compare that to Omega, and McFarlane has continued to kind of evolve their articulation scheme here. They're keeping all the same points, they're just tweaking things here and there. For Rex and Skull Trooper and Black Knight and anybody else who reuses this body, they did the hips in a way where it looks almost seamless in neutral position. That does cause problems when you go to articulate it. It likes to get caught on inner workings. Like moving the torso out of the way, it's then you get full movement out of the hip. Come to here and it snaps back into position. That's the same with Drift, that same seamless look. It's not seamless, you can see the seam, but the silhouette isn't broken by ball hips or something like that. With Omega, they've come in and done something different. It's a hinge and swivel type situation. You can see a little bit more gap here, but it's a little bit smoother, except for Omega's design. These thigh pads get in the way whenever you try to come up and articulate the leg. You can get it up, you have to kind of twist though to keep the armor plate from smashing too hard into the crotch piece. And out doesn't work quite as well, but it's a smoother articulation. Also with Rex and the early ones, the detents are a little bit heavy on that ball joint at the ankle, and they're positioned in a way where it's not neutral position. You're either leaning forward or you're leaning back a little bit. You have to find that mid-ground in the detent. With Omega, the detents aren't nearly as heavy, so it's easier to find that middle spot to get him standing up. There are other hindrances to certain articulation points, but that's because of Omega's design. He's just thick, he's heavy, so it gets in the way of some of the points. But quickly going over Rex's articulation scheme, there's a ball joint at the bottom of the neck, ball joint at the top of the neck going up into the skull, but I've got a little bit of, I don't know why the sculpt of the head is like that, but it does get in the way when you try to tilt to his right. Left is fine, boom. That may just be a flaw with mine. They may not all be like that. A little bit of down, but the dinosaur jaw hits the bandana. Up, swivel. There's a dumbbell joint in the shoulder with a cap coming out to hide the articulation, so you can shift up, you can shift down, you can shift forward, you can shift back. Arm hinges out, swivels around, swivel at the bicep, double elbow all the way up. Figure arts type joint at the wrist, you can get it to go up and down, or if you swivel it, you can get it going side to side. Ball in the mid-torso, ball at the waist together. You can get crunched down, arc back, tilt, tilt. Hips are on a hinge and swivel. If you bring it forward and you're feeling resistance, kick the torso back a little bit. That frees it up. Pulling the leg off, it came off because I cranked on it too hard. It came apart instead of breaking. So I'm going to put it back together. Putting it together, not a big deal. Out to there. And that's another bad thing about this hip setup is you get your plastic bending a little bit because of the crashing inside the body. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee doesn't quite come all the way up, but nice range. Same setup at the ankle as the wrist. It goes back, forward. It does rotate side to side, but you also have a forward-facing pin for some rocker, and then toe joint comes up just a little bit. For drift, it's essentially the same articulation scheme, except for, like I talked about, the hood hinders the neck a lot. Dumbbell joint at the shoulder, forward, back, up, down. The rubbery hoodie gets out of the way. Bicep, double elbow, hinge, swivel. Hoodie gets in the way of the mid-torso, but you get crunching at the lower one. Arc back, tilt, tilt. Same deal with the hips, comes forward, back, out. Swivels at that joint, but because of how tight it is inside the crotch piece, you don't get a lot of swivel unless you bring it forward and then swivels. Double knee does come up and kick his own ass. The joint for the shoe is down inside this high top, so you get forward, you get back, still quite a bit because of how open it is at the top, but you're not going to get much rocker out of that. And then toe joint comes, whoa, way past up. Double neck joint, you can bring down, bury his chin. I have noticed when you come back up, it's easy to get caught at the top of the neck right there. So you got to kind of shift it back and then you come back up. A little bit of tilt, a little bit of tilt, swivel, dumbbell joint at the shoulder, up, down, forward, back. There is a separate shoulder pad piece right here that does get in the way of the up. It likes to crash. It being rubbery and oh well, left is fine. It comes up and over. Why am I crashing over here? Swivel, double elbow all the way up. Wrist is a little bit more covered because of the sculpt coming down over it, but can still hinge in. Swivel. Torso's a little bit more hindered because of the design. A little bit of tilt, but with the bottom, you get a little bit more range. Not a lot of crunch. A little bit of arc back though. Then you can swivel. Hip joint, you got to kind of manipulate around Omega's design scheme, but you can come up, back, out. It also swivels on that joint. Double knee comes, not quite. It's got this thing getting in the way. Still impressive though. Ankle setup, back, forward, rotates there, and then rotates here. And then toe joint that comes up 90 degrees. For accessories, Rex comes with the bite mark harvesting tool. At first I thought this might hinge open, but it's a one solid piece. And then I love how the red fades into the yellow. Just excellent paintwork on that. Comes with scaly back bling. It looks like legs and another tail. It essentially like another lizard on his back. Plugs into his back, and that just completes the overall look. And then he comes with this nifty rocket launcher. He has the teeth, tampo down here, eyes up here on top. It is a little bit crooked from the package, and when I went to straighten it out, you can see kind of stressing down at the bottom. So don't get too crazy with trying to bend this around. The characters in Series 1 all had trigger fingers on their left hand. When it comes to Rex, there's no trigger finger here, so he can only hold up to the trigger guard. With Drift, we get the party animal harvesting tool. A lot of great detail here. I love the blue coming around, and then the design itself up here. The silver is really shiny too. It's not chromy, but it's shiny. Has the pool party back bling. I love this thing. I'm not gonna even lie about it. But the white also works well with Drift's mask. And then he comes with this assault rifle, and like Rex, no trigger finger hands for Drift. I guess you could cut the pointer loose just to give it a little bit extra. I'm more of a harvesting tool kind of guy. And then with Omega, we get the onslaught harvesting tool. Fits his overall scheme, has the orange down here, looks kind of energetic, even though it's just a plain orange, I know. But when I'm looking at this, I think, ooh, zoo, 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 zoo. And that also runs up the back there. He comes with destabilizer back bling. Same color scheme, same kind of design. In fact, that kind of completes the overall look of the figure. And then he also comes with a rifle, but unlike the other guns from the other figures, this is more of a realistic look to it. And with Omega, and I'm guessing Carbide, they put trigger fingers back, but it's on the right hand this time. So boom, boom, trigger right into the guard. He holds it really well. Size-wise, this line is 7-inch scale, and I didn't expect Drift to be that much taller. Rex is about 7 inches to the top of the spikes on the Puff the Magic Dragon head. Omega is about 6 7/8, and then Drift is about 7 1/4 to the top of his mask ears. But man, do they look great with the rest of the figures from this line. And don't forget about Black Knight. He wouldn't fit on the sides there. But if you're thinking about picking them up and trying to slip them into your other lines, here they are with the Marvel Legends Black Panther, the Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper, and the Mezco 1/12 Collective Joker. Like I said, 7-inch scale, gonna be a little bit big, but for characters like Omega, big armor, you could fudge him into your other lines if you wanted to. So at the end of the day, more fun additions to the McFarlane Fortnite line. I'm gonna reiterate it one more time. I know nothing about Fortnite. I just dig on good action figures, and this line is good action figures, especially compared to what we used to see from this company. Nothing against that, it has its own customers, the more statue-like figures, but for those of you who like articulation, McFarlane is coming up to meet our demands. Now sure, because of the designs of the characters from the game, it kind of gets in the way of the articulation here, but I'll be damned if they don't look good. McFarlane nailed the likenesses, they nailed the sculpts, they nailed the paints, and they are kicking ass with the articulation. So yeah, like I said, fun little toys. I'm really glad I got these three at about the same time. But I'll be honest, I think Cuddle Team Leader is still my favorite in the series overall. I'm really looking forward to Dark Bomber, and then some of the stuff they showed at Toy Fair. The robot guy, the guy with the mask, several of the other designs that just appeal to me at some level, even though I don't play the game. Not to mention them getting into vehicles for these figures. That's amazing. Even after, how many do I have now? 1, 2, 3. Even after 7 figures, the excitement hasn't worn off. Every time I open one of these, I think, man, this is gonna look great on the shelf. Or this is gonna look great with the overall group, because putting them all together, that's when the magic happens here. And it makes me kind of want to play Fortnite. Ooh. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.